Paul Simon once said, "An island has no friends." And while there are drivers who love this circuit, it doesn't always love them back. Phillip Island is known for putting on thrilling races in lower-powered cars while providing an incredible technical challenge for the faster classes. And it's those qualities that keep mini-series coming back season after season. Today, we return as well as we get ready to watch Round 10 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group's Sports Car Challenge. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Suit Zahn. Keeping us up on the GTD class is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, we've got the beach right close by, but I get the feeling nobody's going to be interested in getting their blankets out. Tell us about Phillip Island.
Well, it is summertime here, and the sea spray is splashing me in the face now as we speak, but as you could deduce from the name, Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit is on Phillip Island, and it floats just off the coast of southeastern Australia, opened in 1956, and, you know, this poor track fell into despair twice, but in 1988, a major refurbishment created the modern layout that the drivers race on today. Now, this track will really separate the good drivers from the great drivers and has decreasing radius corners all over the place, some off-camber bends, and a few really gutsy sweepers that'll put drivers' nerve to the test. This really is 2.7 miles of trademark Australia. If you had anything more to ask of this 12-turn course, it would probably be elevation changes, and well, it's got plenty of that too. So mistakes aplenty will catch many of these drivers off guard into the corners like the Southern Loop and Loopy Heights. But to really give us a feel for what they'll be experiencing today, let's hop on board and take a lap around Phillip Island with the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Phillip Island. Doohan is up first, a ridiculously fast right-hand sweeper. Passes can be possible, but you need the draft to pull you fully alongside your rival. The embankment will help you keep your speed, so tuck it in tight. Drift wide, and there's miles of sand trap to navigate. From there, the Southern Loop shows up immediately, and like many corners around here, it's a decreasing radius. As if that weren't frustrating enough, just to keep you on your toes, there's a nice crest right when you want to get on the power. This is actually a really important place to nail your exit, because after Stoner right here, you're braking heavily for Honda Corner. This is pretty much your best and only safe passing spot on the track. Everything else will be a very tricky proposition. From there, we head uphill to Siberia. Once again, there's lots of banking here, but your best bet is to square this one off with a late apex. That's because while we climb up the high side of the track and blast through 7 and 8, we won't let off the accelerator until we hit Lukey Heights. You really cannot see what's coming as you come around this long, climbing, 180-degree turn. So if chaos unfolds in front of you, you're blind. Keep it tucked inside once again so you can get set up for the other hairpin of 10. Guys will be overshooting this corner all day with a steep downhill braking zone. Weirdly, you don't want to track out, because right away, you've got the left-hander of 11. You'll be tentative on the gas until you get to the short blast to 12. Then feather the throttle around this heavily banked final turn. Get that sole to the floor as soon as you dare, because now we're dumped onto the Gardner Straight. As long as you didn't push wide, that is a lap around Phillip Island. Should give you an idea of just how many back and forth sections you have around this track, which is going to play a little bit of havoc with the interclass traffic. We'll talk about that later. In the meantime, let's talk about the points championship. Bill, I believe you have an update for us.
4 of them to get through, so let's get right to it. Let's start with the prototypes, where the news there is the return of Robert Tinsey. After a midseason slump, the Talon Motorsports driver is on a 2-race win streak. The Autobahn West driver of John Ulmer holds station in the lead, 7 points up on Cy Andra, the privateer. For SRN's Daniel Gralty, that 19-point gap to the lead is not insurmountable, but having to get around both Andra and Tinsey to get to Ulmer might make it just that. Clan AOD.net's Alex Simonic's scholastic obligations will probably make this his last appearance on the top 5. Moving to the GTLMs. Now, you take the mantra Jeffrey Ooms of AOD Racing out of the picture, and you got something suitable for framing. 13 points separate Stephen McGarvey for TMC Carbon, Billy Smith for Autobahn West, Privateer Paul, Oh My Darling, and SRN's Ryan Huff. Now, McGarvey and Darling, however, have no pocket points. However, McGarvey just did pick up his first win last round at Motegi. Let's go to the GTDs. Leading all drivers in points with 249 is the Comet Bradley Haley. The Rainier Racing Team star has 6 wins so far. But, and this is a Sir Mix-a-Lot-sized but, the fastest driver of late in this class has been Dennis Savretic. If the 22-point gap to Haley was all Savretic had to deal with, that would be one thing. But Haley's 32 pocket points is going to make it really tough for Savretic's championship hopes. Those hopes are probably slim at best. SRN Scott McGarvey has podiumed his last 6 races. The only driver to have a race win other than Haley and Savretic is Autobahn's East, Sheldon Rosenbaum. Coming off his best result of the season, a 4th puts TMC Racing's Ross Booth on the graphic. Finally, to the teams. Daniel Gralty is 4th in the prototypes. Ryan Huff is 5th in the GTLMs. Scott McGarvey is 3rd in the GTDs. There's a certain satisfaction seeing a team built void of a superstar dominating the team championship like SRN has done this season. This is a copycat league. It'll be interesting to see how the silly season plays out, how the drivers will shuffle around as the teams hope to mimic SRN's motorsports formula. It should be noted that TMC Racing jumps 2 spots into 4th, powered by Mark Wilson, Dave Hill, and Ross Booth. Okay, Joe, that's what we know. Let's see what we can find out.
Absolutely. Well, the one thing that we could find out for our viewers is, of course, the details of this race. If you've never watched the Autobahn series, why don't we introduce you to what you're in store for over there. We are on season 6. They've been doing this for a while now, and this is round 10 of 15. We're now going to be 2/3 of the way through this. They do have 2 drop weeks in those points, however. 60-minute race today. They do 90 minutes at times, but this is a sprint one in terms of those 2 lengths that they run. It is open setup out there, so drivers can tweak them to their desire, and that is very important, even though they do share a lot of setups. In fact, some of the fast guys are pretty willing to share those, but they do hold a few things close to their chest. There is an incident cap as well. If drivers have an off, run into one another, run into an object somewhere, or spin, they accrue incidents, and if you hit 24 of those, you, of course, are disqualified on the spot and disappear. Now, it's not just myself and Sean and Bill up in the booth. Down in the pits, back again from Motegi. Now, down here in Australia, we have Steve Brown joining us and keeping us up to date of all the action that's happening down in pit lane. Steve, I understand that they have actually a specific rule this week for the pit exit.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to be back with you guys. Yes, they do. There's 2 pit exits here at Phillip Island. There's a quick short one to the right that actually dumps you right onto the front straightaway, and it's a bad idea. So they've actually elected to make it mandatory to use the longer exit, which goes all the way down to turn 1 and puts them on the outside of turn 1. So there's no incidents there. Also, the pit entry here is a little bit difficult. You come off the penultimate corner and track to the outside. You then have to come all the way back across the racetrack to get to the inside to the pit entry and actually brake for the corner into pit lane, and then a quick burst onto the throttle brings you to the pit entry line. So that could be exciting as well. So both ends of this long pit lane can show some difficulty.
We'll have to keep an eye out on that, see if any drivers bin it on their way in. Don't want to have a David Coulthard moment for any of them out on track. We just have 5.5 minutes left to go in the last chance qualifying. If you're wondering what that is, they allow all 3 classes out on track for any driver that did not get a lap in during their set qualifying for their class. Each class gets 15 minutes, and that took place in the 45 minutes prior to us going to air. The downside to not going out in your allotted class and coming out here is, even though there's usually fewer cars, with it being mixed class, you can find yourself easily interrupted. Well, Sean, you mentioned that there's some very tough corners. Are any of the corners out there today going to be good for passing, though?
You know what? Look for a lot of opportunity in Duhan, turn 1. you know what? We've seen some classic battles through that, and cars getting back onto the track, even out of the pits, battles erupting there. Yeah, Duhan's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe not so much in the southern loop, but Duhan and then turn 3, Stoner Corner. And look for maybe some passing down in Honda Corner as well. That's a good opportunity to overtake there.
Bill, when you were going over the points, you mentioned that Ulmer was still leading things. I found it interesting that after last weekend, another bad result, but he's still ahead. I have to feel maybe that's more down to Cy Andra's misfortune as well.
Yeah, he's not exactly. Both those guys fall back into the mix. The prototypes are fascinating. You know, I gave these names, Andra, Ulmer. We talked about Tinsley and Daniel Gralty. 2 names we didn't talk about, Alex Ellis and Mike Young. Both of those guys, very impressive. They're sitting 3rd and 4th right now in qualifying. I think Young already has a victory this season. I'll have to double check that if memory serves me right. Both of those guys, the prototypes have really been the most interesting class of the bunch.
Sean, down in the GTD class, Haley and Savretic have really stolen the show a lot lately, both with their battles on track and them being the main competitors for the championship in that class. What about Giuliano Romagnolo? I'm looking at the qualifying times. He's, let's see, looks like less than 2 tenths off Savretic. Could he be in the mix today?
He very well could be in the mix, Joe. And I say Giuliano Romagnolo is a guy that we want to keep an eye on. The Italian-Canadian seems to have a little bit of pace here. Not, like you said, just about 2 tenths off of Savretic, but he is going to be a contender today. I just have a really good feeling. Look for a great three-way battle between Haley, Savretic, and Romagnolo today here at Phillip Island. It should be interesting. You know, one thing we haven't brought up, though, you know, this is not a tremendously long course, and I think traffic is going to be a big deal here today, Joe.
I kind of expect it to be the case as we watch Samuel Scott work his way around and put a few more of his qualifying times in. They have as many laps as they can squeeze in during these 15 minutes that they get. So there's no limit on that as his Ferrari comes up there through Siberia. Now, Bill, looking at the GTLM class, I see Stephen McGarvey currently sitting in 3rd out there on the grid. But and he's gotten that win last time out, so there's some improvement. But realistically, can he defend this crown?
I don't think so. I think it's Jeffrey Ooms to lose. What's interesting is Jason Girard has kind of underperformed. He's sitting 2nd in class right now. This is also full. It's really a battle for best of the rest. You got Paul, oh my darling, in there also. How about Ryan Huff has been doing great too. Billy Smith, man, he just can't seem to get it. Probably more potential, probably a faster driver than his race results would indicate.
Not very fast in qualifying today either. Billy Smith sitting in 6th, it looks like, currently. So he has got some work to do. I think some of that will hopefully be helped by a bit of the chaos that we're kind of expecting here today. Sean, I mentioned the back and forth that you have to go across the track. Mixed class traffic, that is... It tends to be a headache. Tell us, I mean, what do the viewers need to expect out there?
What do they need to expect? Well, they need to expect it, especially if you've not watched this before, is the closing rate of the HPD on everybody else and how some drivers may get a little caught out. You're going to have to be paying attention not only to your mirrors, but to your relative to see where these guys are at, because you just don't want to get caught out in a place like Honda Corner and that trip off a Stoner Corner, turn 3 there. That can be kind of hard to pick up sometimes. So you've got to be very, very careful, and you've got to have your head on a swivel. This is a great track to have a spotter, Joe. If you've got anybody on the team working with you, it's a great place to know where the traffic is at. Because of the undulation and the elevation changes here, it can make seeing the sight lines a little bit tricky on these cars.
That's a point that we haven't really talked about, is the wild elevation change, especially on the back half of the course. You'll see Paul Darling get quite a bit of it here. The elevation just continues to climb up and up and up, and especially you can see it on board here. We'll come over the crest of Loogie Heights, incredibly blind here into MG, almost 2 crests there, and then got to get on the binders to try and bring it around that tight hairpin. And then 2 more before you complete the lap. Going to be oh so important off of this final corner, which looks like Darling's not going to take. He's going to give up on this last lap here as he practices his entry. Woof. Certainly shows how tough it is and locks him up to boot.
That's what Steve was talking about there. You have to we've seen as many mistakes entering pit lane as you do out on the track sometimes.
All right. Qualifying is over, and it looks like everybody has indeed exited the track, even though they could have completed their hot lap. So why don't we go through the grid on the pole? Bit of a surprise today. Cy Andras found some pace, and quite a bit of it over John Ulmer, who's going to be completing the front row. Alex Ellis will be starting in third with Mike Young in fourth. And then, if you were expecting Robert Tinsley's name sooner, well, he is starting way back in fifth today. He blames a lack of practice in the coming weeks. Daniel Gralty is going to be starting in sixth with Lionel Duprat starting in seventh. Mark Wilson will begin in P8. He's followed by David Stockrider in ninth, and then Elliot Mimi rounds out the top 10. One final HPD who's got a lap time in. Actually, he is the last HPD that we have. Chris Pence starts in 11th. Bill?
Then we get down to the GTLMs. You got Jeffrey Ohms. He's in his Ferrari. A couple Fords after that. Jason Girard and Stephen McGarvey back to the Ferrari of Paul Oh My Darling. Ryan Huff in a Ford. Billy Smith in a Ferrari. Two more Fords with Patrick Fleming and Dino Topic. Then it's a bunch of Italian cars. Samuel Scott, Leif Peterson. Hey, how about this? David Williams. He's farther down. Good to see the David back with us. He's well down the list, but we'll see what he can do. Dale Green and then Mark Krudowski rounds out that class. Sean?
All right, Soup. Thanks, guys. It's going to be Bradley Haley on the pole there. Dennis Savretic right there on that same front row with him. Giuliano Romagnolo will hold that third spot. Kevin Santana in fourth. Paul Lindsay going to be fifth today. Tim McLeish with a sixth place qualifying effort. Matt Owens seventh. Kevin O'Keefe eighth. Ninth going to go to Robert Sklenka. Sheldon Wolosian 10th, 11th, Christopher Sherburne. And last car on the grid, I don't know if he's going to start. It'll be Miguel Meyer. And, of course, he will be 14th in class there.
Meyer, I would think, would want to start. He is in the AM Championship hunt in the GTLM class, so hopefully he will get out there. So as the cars start to grid up, the traditional question stands. We'll start with Bill. Who's your pick today?
All right. Here's the guy. He has finished second in his last 3 out of 4 races. That's Alex Ellis. Look for him to get the win in the prototypes. We go down there. If I pick the monster Jeffrey Ooms, that would be too boring on that one. Let's see if we can get one for Paul Darling. Look for him to close out well at the end of the race. Sean, who do you like down there in the slower cars?
Well, I am going to be predictable, and I'm going to go with Bradley Haley. Someone's going to have to step up and beat him. But you know what? Again, Joe mentioned Romagnolo, and we talked about him a little bit. Boy, I wouldn't be shocked if he pulls one off here this evening. But no, my money's on Bradley Haley right now.
Was it on Philadelphia last night?
It was not, Soup. It was not.
I think Bill's liking touting his bet. I'm guessing he was betting on Philadelphia. But anyways.
No, Joe, my bookie, sorry to say, sadly, he passed away. I was informed of this by his replacement bookie who came to my door and said, here's an outstanding bill. And who are you? And I'm your bookie. So that's that story. All right.
How sentimental of him.
Yes, it was very nice of him.
I wonder if we could put Steve on the spot for just a moment. You can pick any class if you want. Who have you got your eye on today? Anybody looking strong to you?
Well, I think in the GTLM class, we have to look at Jeffrey Ooms. He's going to be trying to better what happened last round with his pedals there. Hopefully that doesn't happen to him this week and puts it on the top step.
Technical hardware issues always a big worry for every sim racer out there as the roof pace car starts them on the pace lap. Did Miguel Meyer actually get out there? I'm checking. See if I can figure out.
Yeah, he is. He's sitting in his car.
All right. I believe he's going to have to start from pit lane if he didn't get a lap time in, since he is in the GTLM class. They do require that of any of the faster classes that did not get a lap time in. As we watch them work their way down to the southern loop. There you see that GTLM class in the background starting to spread themselves out. Bill, this is a split class start, so they do give a little bit of space.
Yeah, it varies from track to track. We like to leave a little bit of time. It really depends on how big the field is in front of it, how much they string out. You know, as they come up here, this is one of my favorite corners as the prototypes come into Honda corner, because it's a great passing though. But Sean, sometimes Honda, sometimes the pass isn't resolved through 4, and that pass can carry on side by side all the way through Siberia.
Yes.
But they better get it fixed before they get up to Lukey Heights. You don't want to be doing too wide up there.
No, you really don't. That's a tough place to get caught out too wide there up in Lukey Heights.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that corner to see if anybody attempts the nefarious 2-wide maneuver through there. Hopefully not 3-wide, though I'm pretty sure we've seen that at some point in the racing that we've covered at this track. Quite a few races have taken place on GSRC. There's the GTD class now coming up to Honda as well. Very sharp hairpin it is. Also another one of those that comes across the line to get to the braking.
This track is really rough for newcomers to race. I mean, there are so many diminishing apexes on it. Finding the apex for me is like, where is it? Did I find it that time? It's rough unless you really get an idea of what's going on. These guys will have no trouble.
But you need a map to find it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Up and over Lukey Heights, there we see the crest and the plunge down into MG. Can John Ulmer do anything at the start with Cy Andra? Those two have been having quite a battle, along with Robert Tinsey. It's just basically been a 3-way fight all season long. As the roof pace car peels off, even though Ulmer's on the inside of this corner, it switches back. So Andra is going to have the inside, the right-hander down through Doohan. Can he get a good enough jump to hold back the big cheese? Waiting patiently for the start, for the green flag to come out, and now Cy Andra goes. Ooh, and a great jump. In fact, Ulmer is already losing out to Alex Ellis, who is behind him on the next row. Could we see the big cheese, our championship leader, slip back into third? It looks like the answer is yes, as easily in front of him goes Alex Ellis into second. Behind him, everything is clean, so let's go to the GTLMs.
Nice and clean up here. Ooms gets a much better start. The front 3, Ooms, Gerard, and McGarvey. A little bit of fighting going on behind. Billy Smith tucks in. Sean?
The GTDs are underway. Bradley Haley gets out to a sprint there. Giuliano Romagnolo right behind him and dead at his tracks. Savrectic gets dropped to third as they head through Doohan. And now into the southern loop.
Very, very clean start for all 3 classes. And as soon as I say that, we got one off in the grass. Who is that we're looking at? Kevin Santana.
Yep.
Sends him all the way to the back. Unfortunately, not what he was wanting at the drop of the green. Up at the front, almost done with our first lap already. And Cy Andra was starting to stretch away a little bit. Alex Ellis reels him in back down to half a second. John Ulmer, who was close to Ellis, drops backwards and loses out on a fair gap up to Alex Ellis. Mike Young already getting on the back of that green and black HPD. Lap 1 done. They come back into Doohan once more. I'm assuming that this is flat out through that right-hander for these cars. Whoa! As Ulmer almost dips it into the grass there coming up to the southern loop. You can see how much that compromises the exit. Go ahead, Bill.
Ellis, who qualified third, is already up to that spot. Oh, here comes the pass being made.
Backs out of it, though. A little bit early, but that attack, unfortunately, put him vulnerable to Daniel Robert Tinsey, actually, who looked around the outside of Mike Young down into Honda. Nothing happened. They stay in order. Ulmer third, Young fourth, and Tinsey fifth.
Let's quickly go to 14th overall, third in the GTLMs. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but Paul, oh my darling, has been working on Stephen McGarvey since the green flag. Right now he's about a car length back, but the last lap he was really pestering, working right, looking left, or any way around. And McGarvey gets a little bit loose. He's going to have not much momentum driving up the mountain here.
I don't think that this is going to be enough. It's way too early to try and stick your nose in up into Lukey Heights like that. And Darling knows it as he stays behind McGarvey. That's a bit of a brave prediction, I have to say, Bill, because Darling hasn't been having really phenomenal results all season long.
Real world obligations are cutting into his practice time. That's what happens. He's really good at the back half of the race once he gets familiar with the track.
Meanwhile, fourth place. Look at this battle going on. This is Tinsey and Young. Tinsley working his way around the outside of Stoner. It's going to switch back to the inside of Honda. Can he get it done down here? Locks him up slightly. No harm, no foul, though, as he peels that third or fourth place away.
Just goes to show you how the talent level is so tough up there. Tinsley, who would usually used to running away with it, going wire to wire, is struggling just to get to fourth.
Young comes back at him, takes a look down to the inside of Lukey Heights. Thinks better of it. Behind them, Daniel Gralti has gained ground because of those two battling. He's pondering getting involved in this. Oh, Mike Young with a bad run through MG. And as all this is happening, we haven't watched the GTDs.
Battle for second in the GTDs right now. It looks like Savretic taking that position back from Roman Yolo from the start. He's going to get back in his second. Pulls that off there in Honda. That was that overtake. Holds onto it in Siberia.
Exactly. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say somebody needs to get busy because Bradley Haley is running away.
Just about to mention that. Yeah, this is just what Haley wants, is Savretic and Romagnola to start to get into it. And the past, gosh, it feels like 4 or 5 races, Savretic has just been all over the tail of Haley for the entire race. So that gap will be helpful. Meanwhile, Paul Darling is coming in for a stop already. This is unusual. This is well before the time. Steve, can you tell exactly what might be going on down there? Is he taking tires or anything?
No tires. Doesn't appear to be taking a fast repair. No damage on the car. Maybe forgot to put in his race fuel.
Yeah, I got a hunch that's why he was so competitive early on, was that he was in qualifying trim.
Whoa, Savretic with an off. This is going to lose a position, 2 positions. Let's look at the replay. That was McLeish and Lindsay who snuck by him. Down through the southern loop. Is this just a standard outbraking into this corner? Drifting a little wide. Yep. Oh, ow, wow. He was actually sawing at the wheel there, Sean, trying to catch it.
Yeah. Car got very unsteady for him there, didn't it? Going to cost him a lot of time, obviously.
That'll take a little pressure off Haley now. Now he just has to deal with Romagnolo.
Certainly plays into the Comet's hands. He's had quite a few wins this season. He's been eyeing the crown after he missed out last season. And if he can just have a nice calm one where he doesn't have to worry about Savretic behind him, that'll just put his mind that much more at ease in that Mercedes.
I'm not going to count Savretic out. Now, he's still... car still looks clean, Joe, and I think he's going to be okay. Just got to get around McLeish here and get back to working on making his way back to the front.
Second place in GTLM starting to be up for grabs because Jason Girard is looking in his mirrors. Stephen McGarvey putting the pressure on.
Yeah, right around him the whole time. Now this is a battle between those 2 Fords. McGarvey's a defending champion. Jason Girard, a veteran.
Coming up out of Siberia. Ooh, I think that was a better exit from McGarvey. This is going to give him an opportunity. The question is he going to take it as we ride on board with the third place GTLM? Nope, he says not now. Meanwhile, Dino Topic, is he off track? Well, he is now.
Right in front of Leif Peterson.
Let's take a look at the replay.
6th in class at the time of the spin.
This is out of Siberia. Oh, just a wheel off into the dirt. Almost a bit of a rookie error out of Dino Topic. Meanwhile, I understand that our prototype leader has already hit traffic. Here's Syandra weaving his way through. How does he size up against Bob the Blade in terms of being the first one to hit these GTDs? Look behind him. Whoa! Is the car off? Who is that? That is Sheldon Oloshin. Loses control. Keeps the car pointed forwards, though, and brings it back together. This allows John Olmer to start to catch Ellis and Andra.
Yeah, I think Andra had to check up there a little bit. Had a great run, was Alex Ellis. I thought Magic Alex was going to get there. Now he's got to run. Look at this. He's got to run off the final corner. Side by side. He's going to be on the high side, though, Joe.
Oh, and they're going to split him 3 wide. Inside for Syandra, down into Doohan. Ellis is going to have to really carry his speed, and he does. Oh, but he gets loose, loses the car. It goes around. Ulmer goes by. He's off track. He's slowly slides back on. Thankfully, he's able to get it out of the way of traffic. Let's watch the replay.
Trying to make it stick on the top side. I thought it was going to stick, but he only had about halfway through the corner.
Wonder if he was just in the dirt and the marbles and there was just not enough grip, maybe. Let's watch Ulmer's view. He had a front row seat to the action here. They're just ahead of the GTD. You're going to see that car snap. And there it goes. Woo-hoo-hoo. Do not want to see tire smoke ahead of yourself in Doohan, but he held it well.
Just drive.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just drive through it, Cole. Just drive through it.
That promotes John Ulmer up into second, Tinsley to third, and Mike Young to fourth. So we understand that Sklenka is also headed into the pits. Steve, what did you see there?
Yeah, he had a self-spin off of the final corner. Surprisingly, nobody hit him because it was in front of about 3 or 4 other cars. Everybody split him, got by. He pulled off the racetrack and in the pit lane. He's still in the pits. I don't know if he's calling it quits here. It's an awful long time to spend in the pits for just a spin.
We could see from that camera angle there was some damage on the right front. Did he hit something with that spin?
I didn't see him hit anything.
So I wonder if that came from another incident. Maybe he had some contact with someone else. We'll look into that later. Meanwhile, we ride on board with Gerard. We're watching this battle before the action with the leaders catching the traffic. That's Stephen McGarvey in the number 16 trying to chase him down. You're already 10 minutes into this race. Go ahead.
This going on 2.3 seconds behind Ohms, who once again is doing what he does, running away with it.
What, I think Patrick Fleming had a moment. Oh, actually, just ahead of them. Yeah, big trouble. Track is almost blocked as our leader has to take off. Oh, we got a car tumbling off the course. Wow. I'm trying to figure out who that was that got launched. I think it was an HPD. That was Tinsley. Oh my goodness. All right, who are we watching here? Well, there's the car stopped, and that was Tinsley in that yellow machine that ran into a GTD and just got thrown over the tires. This is Mark Kodrowski, who gets tipped around. There's a couple other cars.
Now Fleming is parked out there and gets slammed by Rulagnolo.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think this started with Dino Topic sending it up into, Topic sending it up to the inside.
We're going to watch from onboard Haley. Let's see what kind of view he gets. The Rainier Racing driver, the leader in the GTDs.
He is just going to make it through here, Joe.
Does he get the start of it here? Yeah, just as it begins.
Topic starts it, and then Dale Green is the next car into the scene. He's third to the scene. And then it's an octopus putting on socks.
Wow. And all of this has allowed Ulmer to get by Andra because Andra had to take to off track to get around it. Mike Young moves to third. Elliot Mimi, how about this? Where did he start this race? He started 10th. He is in fourth actually. Quite a drive from Elliot. Tends to disparage himself a little bit. It's lighthearted self-depreciation, but he's doing a good race right now. Well, how long is the luck going to hold out for the Big Cheese? That's the question right now. He's got a 2.5-second lead over Cy Andre, who is his closest competitor in the championship at the moment.
We'll talk about luck. How about the luck for Bradley Haley, Sean?
Yeah.
First of all, he has Dennis Cervetic chasing him. He's gone. And then Roland Yellow gets caught up in that.
Yeah, amazing luck. And now Haley has about almost 8-second lead on Paul Lindsay. Haley getting passed right now by the HPD of David Sockrider getting through. But Haley just needs to keep this car on the track right now. He did have a close moment the last lap coming out of Swan. Ran it a little bit out too far wide and actually was in the grass on that exit, but able to reel it back in, get back out on track. So right now for Haley, it'll just be about taking care of business here until the pit stop. There's Cervetic on screen there.
Was Ooms anywhere near that incident when it happened? Because we had 2 out of the 3 class leaders affected by that.
Yeah.
If we had the all 3, that is... You always talk about the solar eclipse, Bill. I don't know what that would be considered.
That's, when 3 of them happen, I don't know. A lot of gravity involved in that. Tinsley's back out. There are fast repairs. I don't know if we mentioned that in the series details, but Tinsley's got a fresh car.
He needed it. His other car is off into the stands right now.
Soup, Soup, is that a fast repair or is that a replacement car?
Spare car is the rules if we were doing the majors. It's all about the phrasing, Joe.
Tinsley's got a mountain to climb now, unfortunately. He's actually back among the GTLMs. So I think he may have lost a lap. No, it looks like he's on the lead lap, amazingly, with the lead HPD.
Now the question is, with 45 to go, he's not in the window. The window is too small, even at a 60-minute race for these guys. He'll have to stop again.
As we watch Stephen McGarvey do his best to try and hunt down Gerard still. I hear that there might be a battle in P4 in the GTDs. Oh, no, we got to stay with this. Gerard and McGarvey.
Got him.
Easily down the front stretch, even before they break for Doohan.
And now he's got to make up. There's only 2.4 seconds up to Ooms. So he's got a chance, especially when we're dealing with traffic. If this was a single-class race, that'd be a different story. You never know what traffic will do for McGarvey.
So we jump back down to 5th. McLeish is chasing Savretic, but look at O'Keefe is chasing McLeish, I should say, but O'Keefe has to worry about Santana as well, very close behind him.
It's a good 3-car battle here right now, and the Mean Beaver leads the way. Mean Beaver Racing there. Tim McLeish got his Merc wound up right now. Joe, interesting story here in the GTD field. It's all Mercedes and 1 Ferrari today.
Who is the brave soul?
Sklenka. And unfortunately, that Ferrari is on the pit lane right now.
Oh, we got one other.
Yep. It was it was Sherburne. Sklenka is in a Mercedes. My bad.
There we go. Now we got it clarified.
Oh, and somebody off the track here.
Yeah, I just saw that. That was by the 3-way battle we were watching. That's Darling, actually.
Oh, Paul Darling.
And the GTLM class, he slipped down to 27th overall.
Well, he had to make that early stop, so something's going on with Paul. He probably lost his rhythm.
He made contact with Paul Lindsay. The 2 Pauls coming together. You're going to see here on the replay. And unfortunately, he finds the berm. Look at this. Jumps it. Oof, that can cause so much damage to the underside of the car. Because then, he has to bring it back down.
I don't know a lot about these cars, but I don't think they're meant to do that.
No.
Pretty much guaranteed that's not on the
Pretty sure the splitter is probably not straight anymore.
Sean, too bad for Paul Lindsay to get involved in that. He's having a good run with some of the guys getting out of the way.
Hey, and Romagnolo just picks up another spot. He continues his recovery, gets around Sheldon Wolosian.
Oh, here comes Servetic. Servetic making a pass on Lindsay.
And that quickly puts him back into 2nd, despite his early problems. Let's take a look at the replay of the pass down the front stretch. We're going to see a lot of these today, Bill, with that draft.
Yeah, you want to get it done before you get into Doohan, though. Certainly by the time you get to Southern Loop, but there's a nice one. He left the door open for him, and Servetic says thank you.
Lindsay, I think, probably feels it's a little too early to be fighting hard, especially if he can get in the toe of Servetic and just ride his coattails. 42 minutes left to go on the clock. We're starting to get close to where we could see a couple of the classes.
Ulmer! Let's go to Ulmer. He's off in the Australian Alfalfa. Oh, but he brings it back.
And that was second place Gerard, who was in a battle with McGarvey, but McGarvey has no way to get around him through the Southern Loop. Ulmer stays in the lead, still has a 2.5-second lead over Andra. That closes things up for P2 and GTLM. Whoa, Ulmer's off again. Through Honda corner.
And there goes Andra back into the lead.
I heard some talk before the race that Ulmer considers this a strong track for himself, but I don't think it's the case today. Let's take a look at the replay of that second incident from Ulmer. Is this the first, actually? No, this is the first one, just the tail end of it.
Gerard had to be looking where the heck he was. He knew he was out there somewhere. Oh, and let's stay live. Let's go ahead and just stay on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as we see this off, we definitely want to come back, because this is a battle for the lead between Ulmer and Andra. It was precipitated by a bit of traffic. Ulmer switches back through as we come back live now. And look at this three-way battle for the lead. Here comes Mike Young. He's got the run on the big cheese coming up around the outside. This went bad for one of the other drivers before. Oh, he gets loose and it repeats. Mike Young sends it off into the kitty litter. That outside line is a death sentence in these HPDs. Wow. So I think we got enough time for replay as Andra's fallen a little bit back of Ulmer. Let's take another look at that first corner slide for Mike Young. It was all looking so good here, Bill, and then it just fell apart.
Same thing that happened to Alex Ellis. Tried to make the same move. Had it going, and the exact same spot. It looks exactly the same.
That Red Bull HPD, thankfully, was slowed down by the gravel. But he did lose all the way back to 6, a lot of spots. And now that I look at it, actually, the gaps up at the top, we've got only 4 seconds between the top 5 and the HPD. This is the closest we've ever seen the fight for the lead in the HPDs. This is incredible.
They keep shuffling around. You know, we were talking to Cy Andra before the race. He's just chatting with us. Says, it'd be nice if John Ulmer and I, if we could just have a race where we don't have to spend the whole time fighting to get back. Boy, they have been all over the place so far. They're up front, though.
It's almost like they're determined to get Tinsey back in this thing.
Well, exactly. That brings Alex Ellis is back in it. And again, how about Elliot Mimi racing in 4th?
He's only 2 seconds behind the leader, and as well about 1.5 seconds behind 3rd place Ellis right now. So he could very much get in this mix if traffic goes the right way for him. Speaking of which, Ulmer trying to get through Owens, who pushes up and out of the way to let these 3 through. And again, this is a 3-way fight right here for the lead, all separated by 0.5 seconds. Ellis is 3rd, Andra is 2nd, Ulmer is 1st. They come up through Lukey Heights. Not going to have traffic for a little bit. Dino Topic up the way. A little bit of a look to the outside by Alex Ellis. And are Ellis and Andra teammates now? I'm seeing the same paint scheme on those cars. We'll try and dig that up. We're hearing that they are, in fact.
Wyvern team?
Wyvern Racing, yeah. Oh, he's got a good run. Ellis on Andra. Andra goes to the outside. Ellis ducks inside. Big lift from Andra. I think he's been watching what's happening, and Andra knows better now than to take the outside. Coming up on that lap traffic now. Paul Darling and Dino Topic just ahead of them. I don't think they're going to catch them at the greatest of places, because here comes Honda, and that switches right immediately into Siberia afterwards.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait. It's going to be a fun run up to Lukey Heights.
1 gets him, 2 gets him, and 3 sneaks through, but not without being compromised. Cy Andra getting the worst of it. Having to go around the outside of Topic, through the S's, up the hill. And Andra just getting the worst of things. Ulmer off.
The cheese was sliding off the pizza for a long time. I thought he had it saved.
This is a lot of loose HPDs that we're seeing. Was there any talk about low downforce in these cars here in this track?
Well, Ulmer likes to run low downforce. He likes to have the straightaway speed, and boy, yeah, you pay for it in that position of the track.
Watch on board Ellis. He gets a front row seat.
I thought he had this saved. I thought he was going to get it back, but nope.
I know it was Ellis and Young were leading at Road Atlanta. Which one of them came out on top of that race? Because I know one of them has a win.
That's Young who picked up the win.
All right, so it's
Ellis still looking for his. He's been seconds a lot.
Yeah, with Simonik, he lost to at Laguna Seca. I remember that. So he leads again. And if we can just get the HPDs to calm down, why don't we check in on our other classes? We haven't gone to the GTDs in a while. Sean, has anything been going on down there?
Well, I mean, what's really going on is Brad B-Rad is running away with this thing right now, but good battling going on behind him. Savretek pretty safe in second right now, but you know what? Lindsay is looking over his shoulder in third because he's got an angry mob behind him on its way, and that's, well, Santana, McLeish, Kevin O'Keefe even is still in that mix. I think the pit stops will really sort things out for these guys, but right now, Patrick Fleming, not a GTD, but kind of in the mix and racing with these guys. And boy, watching the HPD get through there, just slicing and dicing his way through the traffic. That was John Ulmer coming through there in a Duhan. He gets away safe.
We might want to get a bit of a replay of Rutgers Kev coming out of the final corner. It was maybe about 30 seconds ago or so, because I think he had some contact there with I think it was Sock Rider. Here we're going to see it. Rutgers Kev looking for a bit of redemption today after having a bad day in the prototypes in the majors last night.
Yeah, it was a long night for him.
Watch this. I'm not sure if the angle will be good to show it, but he gets awful close trying to track out. Ooh. Yeah, I couldn't quite see. We're going to watch it from above here. Kevin didn't really do anything wrong in this one either. He would want to track out naturally on such a fast corner. Little tight, but I think they had some space left.
Well, I'll tell you, no lead is safe right now, because when that wild herd of prototype leaders comes your way, hold your breath, because there's no telling what's going to happen. All right, Jeffrey Ooms, watch out.
Ooh, Fleming with a bit of a lock up there.
What corner was that he was?
He's just out of 10 there.
As he comes back onto the front stretch, gets it going once again. Fortunately, this is going to lose him a lot of time, as that's a part of the circuit where you want to have a good exit. And there is Jason Gerard now.
Don't need to go there, but Ryan Huff this lap, probably 30, 45 seconds ago, had a spin. He's having a real good run. He's 5th in points. Racing 5th in his class right now. He has fallen back, though, a little bit farther.
Now down to 34 minutes left. Very squarely into the pit window for pretty much all the classes.
Looking at that battle there between McGarvey and Gerard, that broke up a little bit when that crazy herd of prototypes came through there, but able to run him back down to Stephen McGarvey. He was a little closer a while ago.
He's been keeping within touching distance of Gerard almost this entire race, I'd say. He's got it down to about half a second behind the New York driver. They've got a lot of space behind them. Leif Peterson is a whole 21 seconds back. So our top 3 are pretty safely in position unless disaster strikes.
Yeah, Darling is out of the picture. Billy Smith has been a nowhere. He's been invisible. David Williams having a nice return to the series in racing at 5th in class. He had a first lap incident that slowed him down, but he's out there now.
We might want to jump up to the prototypes because it's not just the top 3 that are going to fight. Third place, Elliot Mimi is being challenged by Daniel Gralty. Gralty coming off of a podium last round, looking to repeat the feat. He's down to 0.3 of a second behind that number 26. Right on board with Gralty's HPD, heading up through Lukey Heights, then back down the hill into MG. They're going to have a bit of a traffic jam ahead of them. That's Christopher Sherburne, who was overtaken by Cy Andra just moments ago.
Our lone Ferrari GTD there.
Elliot Mimi's got to be saying, what am I doing racing up here? I'm sure, no offense to Elliot, but I'm sure he didn't expect to be in the hunt with Ellis and Andra and Gralty and Ulmer and Young all with him here. He's the only one of those guys in the prototypes that's really been behaving. He's out there putting in laps.
Well, I guess in this series there's something to be said about running quiet races and keeping out of trouble. And that's what he's doing right now, is he's actually extending his gap over Daniel Gralty. So Mimi's starting to put his foot down, seeing he can relieve some of the pressure that he's feeling from behind.
You know, for a guy, Elliot Mimi, one of the most humble guys you'd ever want to meet, seems weird that he's so humble and then has a last name that is Mimi. This seems a contradiction.
All right, we understand we got some scheduled pit stops going off. Steve, do you see anybody in the pits?
We've got Paul Lindsay in the pits, scheduled pit stop, and Mark Wilson is in. He's running towards the back of the pack in the prototypes. None of the front cars in the pits yet, though.
You see the Canadian driver Wilson has hit his stall. Peterson looks to be in a bit of a battle as well with Billy Smith out on track as they come through the southern loop. GTLM Ferrari is a little bit more popular in that class than they are in the GTDs. Looking through the field real quick, checking my timing and scoring to see if we've got any tight fights going off. Everybody's just about half a second or above. So maybe everybody kind of settling into things, just kind of figuring themselves out, thinking more strategy now since we've got pit stops going off. Drivers could be working with their F4 boxes, making sure that they've got the right amount of fuel set, checking to make sure they have tires if they want to take tires. Ooh, Billy Smith with laid on the brakes down into MG corner. He closes way up on top of Lee Peterson. Unfortunately, they're going to be split. I think this is Tinsey coming through. Yes, it is. And just behind them, Alex Ellis, our leader. Ellis is in.
As is Andra.
Looks like the dominoes starting to fall here, guys.
They're all coming. Mimi, Gralty, Young. Here they come.
Wonder if this means we've got a pretty narrow pit window for our HPDs.
Yeah, it's always narrow in these 60-minute races right there. In fact, they have to be careful not to have to two-stop these. So they've made it past halfway. Everybody coming in. Everybody coming in.
Steve getting busy down there. Anybody making any interesting choices?
Nobody's up on the jacks. Looks like fuel only for everybody. Ellis is away. Waiting on everybody else here. Syandra is away. Looks like routine fuel only, as usual.
Oh, but side by side here between Elliot Mimi and who is that he beat out? That was Gralty, who he was in a battle with. Gralty just about jumped him, but not quite close enough.
So your top five play out this way. I'll do it in reverse orders. Mike Young in fifth. Now he's got a ways to go before he gets up to Gralty, who's right behind Mimi. Those guys battle for third.
And Mike Young has a battle going on right in front of him between McGarvey and Gerard right now. I think he's going to get by without being held up. Oh, great news there for Mike Young. A little bit of an attempt around the outside by Stephen McGarvey, but nothing doing around Honda corner.
But then Asai Andra and Alex Ellis. Now remember, Ellis had that spin we watched going into Doohan. I kind of wrote him off, but he's come back and he's got a 4-second lead now over Syandra.
That's David Sockrider we're seeing going around the outside of the S's as this battle continues. This is for second in the GTLMs. Gerard has been fending off McGarvey almost the entire race. Well, down through 10. Go ahead.
If fuel mileage means anything, McGarvey should have burned a little less fuel. And there goes one right now. That's Gerard's going to come off. So here's a hot lap for Steven. He's been following Gerard for the first 30 minutes of the race. Let's see what he can do right now when this lap time counts.
All right. This is where you really make your money in terms of preparation. Is your strategy solid? That's the question for Stephen McGarvey. He's been hanging behind. He has been attacking some. We're riding on board in the second place GTLM car. And again, has a huge gap to the cars behind. So really not under threat. Does have about 5 seconds up to our leader, Jeffrey Ooms, but this has been standard fare if you've watched any of the Autobahn races this season. Ooms mostly unfazed all race long.
Girard comes out with pretty clear track in front of him, so that's not going to be too costly for him. And McGarvey, pretty much not a lot to deal with either. So right now, it's just a matter of who's got the best pace.
McGarvey is approaching second place in the GTDs, Dennis Savretic. But if he peels off this time, I don't think he should hold him up at all, as he's only just now coming up to his gearbox. I'm going to watch and see if he comes in. Savretic comes in, so opposite of what we thought. Meanwhile, Sean, something's happening down to the GTDs?
Well, okay, so not much happening, so to speak, is just getting ready. Okay, none of the leaders have come in yet, although Savretic is in. As of saying that, we go to it, Savretic decides to pull off, and he is now in his box. So there, as my spidey senses were tingling there. McLeish going to take over second.
And I understand that Steve is hustling down the pit lane to our GTLM leader because he's headed in.
Yeah, Jeffrey Ooms is already in and away. 18.5 second stop, which is actually 1.4 seconds slower than Girard here.
Ooh, interesting. Don't think that's going to be enough for Girard to challenge. He's got some momentum. There. Ooh, whoa. Cutting over the grass a little bit there is Jeffrey Ooms. So he was using every inch of the track and then some to maximize his pit exit. Girard comes out about 3.4 seconds back from what should eventually be our GTLM leader. Right now he's in second as he's waiting on Stephen McGarvey to pit.
Don't need to go there, but while all that pit stops were going on, Daniel Gralty was able to get around Elliot Mimi, so Gralty now moves up from the third in the prototypes, about 3 seconds behind Syandra.
24 minutes left to go. How much did McGarvey save? We're about to find out. Comes into pit lane now. Hits the pit line. Gets it down to the speed limiter.
Ooh, trouble going through the southern loop, guys.
Oh, David
Had a couple
Williams.
cars off. Yeah, David Williams.
John
Ryan
Ulmer
Huff.
involved in that one.
Oh, no.
I think it was... Well, I don't know if Ulmer got into him. It looks like Ulmer got loose in front of him.
Well, Williams,
no,
Williams gets tipped by Ulmer there, guys, going into the southern loop.
Oh, and there was another car involved, Ryan Huff as well. You saw him in the replay, tipping him around. Watch on board Ulmer. I mean, he's hustling to make up time, but we've seen what happens when you get aggressive in traffic. Oh, wow. That's... I don't think there was really much of a gap there, unfortunately, Bill.
No, and then just to follow up on that, we were talking about the Girard and McGarvey pit stop battle. Girard gets the best of that when he comes out about a second and a half ahead of McGarvey.
Yeah, it sounds like Steve was watching the times on the pits. What was the difference there in the box?
Girard's pit stop was 0.8 quicker than McGarvey, so that's going to give him quite a bit of time on track.
There's your update for the podium now that the strategy is played out, and it's all down to what you can do out on the black stuff. Ooms leads, Girard second, McGarvey third. We also understand our leader in the GTDs has come in.
Sean, that's just about the last one of those guys to have to pit.
Yeah, Kevin Santana, the second place driver right now, he still has to pit, but honestly, B-Rad got such an advantage on the rest of this field right now that pit stop's just not really going to matter. Santana gets by B-Rad while he's in the pits. He's rolling now, though, and Santana, again, still has to get his stop in.
Running it long. We're used to seeing this with the GTDs. There you see Bradley Haley returning to the track. It's Lionel Duprat going by. Duprat's been having a great season in the HPDs. He has by far the largest margin in the AM championships of the three of them that are going on.
Pretty paint scheme for that car.
No bias there, is there, Bill?
Nah. This is past Mama Jean's bedtime. She'll be watching this one tomorrow.
Looking through the order, everybody's starting to spread out now. Those pit stops really thinned the field out.
So
let's check down on GTDs here, Sean.
Yeah, and so this really is the best battle left in the GTD field, and these guys have all gotten their pit stops in. Lindsay leads them there in 5th right now, but just behind Tim McLeish and Kevin O'Keefe. Rutgers Kev there got himself in a position to fight for more positions. So this battle will be one to watch, to keep an eye on here till the end. Got some traffic coming through now that might split them up a bit. Mike Young making his way, and Patrick Fleming back there.
Oh, somebody in the walls. That's going on. It was Paul Darling. This is right at pit entrance. I was about to go to Steve Brown to talk about Santana coming in for a pit, and as I was watching that, Darling slams it into the wall.
Oh, but he had some help. This might have been net code. I'm gonna have to watch carefully here, depending on the angle that we'll get, because that's DePratt coming through. Oh, definite net code.
Ooh, I don't.
Let's watch from that angle. It looked like it, because when he started sliding, from what it looked like, yeah, I'd say there was some net code involved there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I looked at another angle of it too, and that's what I saw.
Mama Jean, your driver's okay. Joe and Sean say it wasn't his fault. So when you're watching this tomorrow, didn't do anything wrong. Here, we're right on board with Mama Jean.
Yeah, we're gonna watch on board to Pratt here.
I don't know.
Yeah, hard to tell from that roll bar cam. Regardless, it doesn't help Darling, because he was stuck in the tires and he's slipping down the order. In fact, I think he has retired the car. All right, we understand that Santana has finally taken his stop, which means with pit stops now done, let's run down the top 5 in each of your classes. Up at the top, Alex Ellis is looking solid. He's got a 7 8/10 second lead over Cy Andra at the moment, his teammate. Andra also looking very good with 4.8 ahead of Daniel Gralti. This is going to be a good points day for Andra over his main competitor Ulmer, who isn't even in the top 5 right now. Elliot Mimi sits in 4th, and he's trying his best to chase down Gralti after losing that 3rd place. I think we missed that pass a little bit earlier in the broadcast. David Sockrider rounds out your top 5 in the prototypes. He is a whole 11 seconds back from Mimi. Bill?
Yeah, but ahead of Young and Ulmer and Tinsey, Sockrider, that's a win for him. I believe I picked Alex Ellis as the to win that class. So far, looking good for me. I also had Paul Darling. He's out, so I'm not going to hit the daily double. The leader in the GTLMs, it is Jeffrey Ooms, but he's only up by 1.7 seconds over Jason Gerard. Now, Gerard and McGarvey were in that battle. Gerard got the best of it through pit stop. McGarvey now back in 3rd. Man, this guy has been quiet the whole race. I'm talking about Billy Smith. He's just slowly worked his way up to 4th, get some points there. And then Leif Peterson back in 5th. So that rounds that out. Sean, what's going on in the GTDs?
Soup, it's all about B-Rad. Bradley Haley right now in control by a wide margin. And you know what? He's got a lot of traffic coming through, so he's going to have to be careful here. But it is Giuliano Romagnolo, a driver we told you to look out for before this race started, and he does have command in 2nd place right now. Ooh, man, a lot of excitement there on the front stretch coming down into Duhon. Sorry, guys. But Giuliano Romagnolo finds himself in 2nd now. And actually, you know what?
I think he needs to pit again. Romagnolo.
That's right. He does. And that's what had me off there. So Romagnolo in 2nd, but not for long. He is going to have to pit. Now Savretek finds himself in 3rd. Kevin Santana in 4th. And Paul Lindsay in the 5th spot right now currently, and fighting hard with Tim McLeish.
Indeed. Those
boys, I'm sorry to interrupt. Ooms is beginning. His gap is shrinking. Jason Gerard is on the hunt. It's down to 1.4 seconds.
This is odd. Was there traffic potentially?
Because the only right now he's dealing with Woloshin and having a hard time with that.
Woloshin
gets
out of the way.
Off the track.
The only other thing that I could think is if maybe he's concerned about fuel and is just trying to conserve a little bit. As Voloshin gets out of the way of that battle for second, Stephen McGarvey still chasing Jason Girard. And now this is the best chance we've seen all race as he closes in, coming up to Doohan. He looks to the inside. He's got his nose in, and Girard lifts and let him through. This is the first time we've seen McGarvey get up to P2 all race long.
Well, that's
almost made it look easy.
That's interesting. Now we'll see what McGarvey can do with Ooms.
Boy, if we get a three-way fight for GTLM as well, we already had plenty of excitement up at the top of the prototypes.
Sean, this is not really the type of track where the GTLMs can leapfrog, right? And two guys can work together.
Yeah,
really,
no. And that, aside from the front straight, you just really got no opportunity to do that. In the meantime, remember, Tinsley had to stake his spare car. Well, that was, in fact, outside of the pit window as he's come in with 15 minutes to go for a splash and dash. That's going to slot him down into 9th now. He's actually within touching distance of Wilson, so he could get another spot.
He was working on a 2-race win streak. I tell you, there's not a lot of tears going to be shed for Robert Tinsley having trouble in this series.
He's going to have, 4 more races after this one?
Had a bad middle part and worked his way up to 3rd in the standings, was in the hunt. This one's going to hurt a little bit.
I was going to say that that's precious little time for him to try and make up, unless our other drivers in the championship have more problems, which the way this season has been going, I'm open to anything. We've seen just about every scenario possible play out, it feels like.
Can we put the camera on 5th overall? David Sockrider looking for a top 5 as he works his way around Jason Girard right now. He's in the mix of this battle. He's right in between McGarvey and Girard. How about that? Nice job, David.
This is new heights for David, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We were, before that, watching the fight between Mimi and Giralty. That's for the final podium spot. There it is again, the number 47 of Giralty leading the way before he was trying to chase down Mimi. But it looks like they're pretty evenly paced.
No offense to Elliott. I think Daniel's comfortable where he is right now. Unless traffic. Traffic's the only thing that's going to be an issue. It's funny. The battle early on was between the prototypes. They've kind of spread themselves out. Wasn't a lot of battling going on in Sean's class or down there in the GTLMs, but those are tightening up now.
Is it worth giving Tinsley some screen time for a pass after his woes this race? Because he's coming up to Mark Wilson now, and really the thick of traffic, we should say.
Yeah, a lot of traffic there.
And, well, I think Wilson lifted. That looked like a big lift to me. And he actually might lose out to DePratt, who's coming up behind him now as Tinsley streaks away. Down into MG. Behind them is our prototype leader, who is going to be lapping these 3 soon.
Oh, boy, that car just got really squiggly for Ellis. I think we cut that on screen. 9-second lead over Andra. Just bring it home, Magic Alex.
13 minutes left to go on the clock. I'm sure Alex is trying to put thoughts of Laguna Seca out of his head. Remember, he inherited the lead in that race. We thought he solidly had that one, thought that he could just bring it home, but it slipped through his grasp. And then Alex Simonik took the win. Today, a 9-second lead. Looking pretty safe for him, but you just never know. In the Autobahn series, so much can happen. Meanwhile, 5th place in the GTLMs. You can see just swapped positions. We missed Ryan Huff getting by Leif Peterson.
Huff had that off earlier. He was having a good run. Now he races in 5th, same place he sits in the points.
That was into Honda corner. He slipped one up the inside. Huff was through with a textbook pass.
Go up to the leaders real quick. Remember last time I mentioned this, Jeffrey Ooms had a 1.5-second lead? Well, now it's down to 0.9, sitting at right 1 second. Here they come. Remember, McGarvey got around Girard, so now it's McGarvey leading the hounds.
Guys, let's go to GTD just real quick. Santana with a chance here to pass Romagnolo, and he's going to get by Romagnolo as Romagnolo's coming out of his pit stop.
In fact, Lindsay's going to get him too, I think.
It's going to be close. Lindsay's right there.
Looks like Romagnolo's up to speed. Lindsay, when the timing and scoring comes to settle.
Let's go to Ooms right now. The leader went off in the grass.
Oh,
he's lost the lead in the GTLMs.
I thought maybe he was going to lose second as well, as Girard was right behind him, but he couldn't take advantage. Let's look at the replay. And this was complete driver error. Just lost control. You saw a bit of that wiggle, and then he had to save it amongst the grass. And poor Scott McGarvey had to hope that he didn't come back in front of him. All right, Stephen McGarvey, he's on 1 win. Can he make it 2 in a row? It was his first this season last round. It took him 9 rounds after winning the championship last year to finally get to the top step of the podium. If he could repeat the feat, that'll raise his hopes, maybe put some cheer in his heart, could potentially give him thoughts. Can I retain this championship crown?
Yeah, well, Garvey now he's the biggest fan of Jason Girard. He'd love to see Girard put another spot between him and Ooms.
This has been an unusual race for Ooms. He usually just romps away and puts a gap between everybody and himself.
Yeah, something was amiss in that car. Maybe it was not feeling well. You can see the gap shrinking and maybe a bit of pressure there as the hounds were coming.
Yeah, I wonder if he just isn't happy with the setup, because for him to lose the car in the way that he did through Lukey Heights, to me says that it just wasn't stable.
I think he's about to lose another position. First of all, here comes the big cheese, Omer coming through. Boy, Omer is going to pin Girard in. Girard trying to now move over. Basically 3 wide.
Oh!
That was Dino Topic.
Round the outside through Doohan. Girard, the first one we've seen, probably safely make that maneuver. And Ooms demoted in a couple laps from first to third. Has the concentration of the mantra finally been broken? And again, these 3 really don't have to worry about what's behind. If Ooms wants to go on the attack, Billy Smith a whole 44 seconds behind. Oh, and while we were watching that, we missed Elliot Mimi getting 3rd place back away from Daniel Gralti again. And I think that might switch soon as he closes in up to Doohan. Let me see if that was recent, if maybe we could get a replay.
I apologize, Elliot. I thought you were going to be comfortable where you were, but was not the case.
It looks like that was more than a lap ago, so unfortunately I don't think we can get a replay. Meanwhile, look at the action on screen between them. Gralti's got a great run. He goes defensive. Mimi just a half-hearted move to the inside. Apex goes to Daniel Gralti, but can he accelerate off the corner? Mimi tries to keep his nose in, up into Siberia, but he's not brave enough. He hands it back to Daniel. Great stuff here for the final podium position for 2 hungry drivers used to the mid-pack, looking at getting themselves some nice exposure, some nice results today, up towards the top of the field.
Don't need to go there. I'll just tell you that Sock Rider in that 5th place position is in jeopardy now because Mike Young is closing in on him.
All right. Kevin Santana, you know, his perseverance has paid off here. He's got himself in 3rd on a podium position here, but Romagnolo is chasing after that pit stop. Oh, and Romagnolo had just a bit of a slowdown there, and he'd gotten it down about 5.5 seconds. Now he's gone almost 6 seconds, but he was picking up time about a second a lap after his pit stop. And boy, with 7.5 minutes left, you got to wonder, is Romagnolo still got a little bit left in him to possibly get on the podium? A lot of traffic coming through here. Sock Rider coming by Santana now. He's going to have to be careful here with this traffic coming through. if he wants to hang on to that third spot. Roman Yellow very, very close behind and still picking up a little bit of ground here, guys.
Quick update as well on Ellis's lead. It has actually grown, and by a good margin. It's up to 13 seconds. Bill, is there any damage on side?
I don't think so. I think Ellis is I think he's just on a roll right now.
Ellis started this race in third, looking to get his first win of the series. He's only got to hold on for 6.5 minutes.
You got to realize Andre thinking big picture. He's in the championship hunt. Ellis is not.
And Andre's main concern in the championship is where Tinsley is and where Ulmer is, and both are behind him right now.
So we got Gerard and still in a battle. The other one we can watch out for is Sock Rider and Mike Young. That's going to heat up here in a minute. In fact, maybe we can go there right now. Here comes Mike Young. Going to make the move on the inside. Sock Rider had that 5th place taken away from him with 6 minutes of race to go.
Well, he's going to try and hold on here. There's traffic in the way. That's Ryan Huff to the inside of those two. But it's going to hurt Sock Rider so much more down through the middle of the southern loop, and you can see the gap that has opened up between them. So could have rode his coattails, but I think that is a foregone conclusion now.
All right, now if we go to Gralty, now Gralty has listened to the broadcast and has distanced himself from Mimi, which I thought was going to happen.
Wonder if the traffic helped them out a little bit there, because they just overtook Matt Owens. I see Dennis Savretic a little ways back. So no, I think that is raw pace, actually. Once they're in the clear, looks like maybe Gralty's got the legs on Mimi a little bit. In the meantime, speaking of legs, this is the final leg of the race, and Jeffrey Ooms is tiring, as he is not doing anything to get past Gerard, though he is holding on. Oh, he was way to the outside through Siberia there.
And the final leg of the Australasian little leg that we have over here, the little 3-race junket.
And that cost another 0.3 for Ooms, that slip up on Siberia. The more I watch that Ferrari of Jeffrey Ooms, the more and more I start to suspect, as Billy Smith has an off. That's through the southern loop. Let's watch the replay. But as we watch that, the more I start to suspect that Ooms just has an ill handling setup.
And this cost Smith a position. Ryan Huff was in 5th. He's going to pick that up. So Huff up to 4th, Smith back to 5th.
There we see Ryan Huff in 4th place in that GTLM class. Alex Ellis continues to grow his gap. Now 16 seconds between himself and the number 24 of Andra.
I can't count how many winners we've had in this prototypes, but Tinsley, Ulmer, Young, Andra, Ellis. Who am I leaving off? Ulmer? Did I say him? I don't know. There's more than I can count.
Are you wearing sandals today, Bill?
Yeah, that's it.
Ellis getting screen time. Probably what he didn't want this whole race. Wanted to be all by himself and not have any attention on him. Let him focus on what he's doing. Right now, he's actually focusing on, amazingly, lapping Robert Tinsley. Getting the blue flag, not something I'm sure that Robert is used to.
I don't think he knows what it means. What is this flag they're showing me?
Right, and you know what? I was just about to comment. I've never seen Bob the Blade pass, so this is a moment for me.
There we go. Nicely done by Tinsley. He saw the blue flag. He pulled over. He let our leader through.
Soup, is he allowed into a meeting?
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't even think about it, Bob.
Your director was thinking we should save a bear claw for him, and I'm thinking, I don't know if he's actually invited to those meetings.
No, he's not getting into the back market United meetings.
Are we going to get the white flag next time by here? We got 2 minutes left of racing. We're running laps of about 1:17.
I think we've got at least 2 to go here.
We'll find out soon.
My money's on 2 to go.
Ellis now comes through Lukey Heights, down into MG. He's got a little more traffic. That's Tim McLeish from the GTD class, just ahead of him. McLeish is in something of a battle. He's not directly right now. He doesn't want to lose time. Still, he holds wide, lets our leader through. No problem between the two classes. 2 laps to go as we cross the line. Your leader in the prototypes, Alex Ellis. Your leader in the GTLM, Stephen McGarvey. And the leader in the GTDs, Bradley Haley.
But only by 25 seconds, so Haley's got to be careful. Yeah.
Hey, he ripped the mirror off in basically in the southern loop on the first lap, and I don't think he's looked behind him since.
Pretty dominant performance that we're seeing from the Comet today. Helped along by Savredic's issues with traffic and whatnot, but you take them when you can get them.
I'd say Savredic, I'd say he recovered well,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, still, despite the issues, in fact, coming home in a second place. 26 seconds back, but you know, it doesn't matter how many seconds back as long as you're in that P2. Minimizing the damage.
Sam Scott.
Oh, and that's with our leader. Our leader has just run into Sam Scott. How much damage is on that car now?
Well, and then he's going to have a cut course penalty right there for coming through.
He's up and over the crest of Lukey Heights. He was caught out by the GTD that was ahead of him. Oh, yeah, just picked the wrong way to go to try and get through there. White flag is out, but let's watch on board Ellis one more time. He still has about 12 seconds. Oh, yeah. It looked like the right way from that angle. And it disappeared.
So you talk about why he needed all that cushion? My gosh, there you go.
He's going to be thanking his lucky stars if he can just bring it home. It's down to 10 seconds now. It's slowly disappearing, but I don't think he's going to need it. Through Honda Corner. He's a rookie this season, but ever since the first race, he's shown he's got good pace. Alex Ellis, half a lap to go now, down to 9 seconds. A wounded car. He's led since about a third of this race in. Up to Lukey Heights. This is where the problem started last time. He's a little bit more circumspect coming up to the GTD car. Gets to the inside through MG. He had that 16-second gap. He needed just a bit of it, but not all of it, as Alex Ellis takes it around Swan Corner and up to the line. Finally, he gets his first win. Alex Ellis, P1 at Phillip Island.
Right behind him, just coming out of Swan right now, is Stephen McGarvey.
2 in a row for last season's champion, Stephen McGarvey, as they go 3 wide across the line. And then Bradley Haley, currently heading into Lukey Heights.
Yeah, on his way to wrapping up a solid victory here, Joe. Like I said, he hasn't looked behind him for quite some time.
Savredec may have gotten him last round, may have shown him that he is a force to be reckoned with, but Bradley Haley returns the punch. And this back and forth battle between Titans, give this one to the Comet. Bradley Haley wins in GTD.
It's a strong performance for that Mercedes today.
With that, we're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results, as well as driver interviews. And on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Phillip Island, just off of Australia. Well, if you enjoyed the Japanese and Australian leg, the Asian leg, if you will, of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sportscar Challenge, I'm afraid to say it's over, but it was not without its feel-good stories. Alex Ellis finally gets his first win in the HPDs. He actually beat his own teammate to the line. Cy Andra just did not have the pace today, although he does well to help his championship hopes with that second place finish. Daniel Gralty gets another podium with third. He just beat out Elliot Mimi, but I think Elliot's going to be pretty happy with fourth, having probably expected a much farther down finish. And then Mike Young, another driver that probably wanted a little bit more, but he started fourth, finished fifth, so he can't be too disappointed. David Sockrider as well goes from ninth to sixth here today. John Ulmer, the big cheese. Boy, it was off the pizza a number of times. He finishes seventh, a little ways ahead of Robert Tinsey, who also had some problems, but I don't think you can really blame him as much for those, as he unfortunately just ran into a blocked track, essentially, that sent him way over the tire barriers. He comes home eighth. Mark Wilson finishes in ninth, and then Lionel Pratt rounds out our top 10. Chris Pence manages to finish in 11th. None of our HPDs retired today. Let's go to the GTLMs. Bill?
No, Steve McGarvey spent the first two-thirds of the race chasing Jason Girard. He finally got that position for second. And then when Jeffrey Olms took a little trip into the Australian fescue, Steve McGarvey said, thank you very much. And he brought it home for the win, his second of the season, and the gap closes in the championship hunt. Jason Girard was also able to get around Olms for second. Jeffrey finishes in third. Ryan Huff and Billy Smith come home fourth and fifth. Leif Peterson had a top five for a while. He's going to get sixth. Samuel Scott in seventh. Dino Topic, the last one of the hunt, and that guy's up front. He comes home in eighth in class. Sean?
Okay, let's go to the GTDs and the big winner, Brad Haley. Congratulations to him. Dennis Savretek fought hard, overcame some trouble, and will finish second. Kevin Santana, third. What a great run for him today. Giuliano Romagnolo fought hard, but fourth was the best he could do. Paul Lindsay, fifth. Tim McLeish finishes sixth today. Kevin O'Keefe will finish seventh in class. Matt Owens, eighth. Sheldon Wolosian, ninth. Christopher Sherburne, 10th. And the final car, Robert Sklenka, finishes 11th in class. And good run there. I'm sorry, I had Sklenka. No, yeah, Sklenka in the GTDs there. He will finish 11th in class. Sorry about that, guys.
And then rounding out the rest of the field is Miguel Meyer, who I think did not start, it looks like.
Yeah.
But we do have some interviews before this thing is over. First up, let's talk to Alex Ellis about finally getting his first win. Alex, were you at all nervous once you inherited the lead that it'd be another Laguna Seca and that you'd throw it away?
Hey, Joe. No, the main concern was what bit me at the end there. Just traffic around here is a little bit unpredictable. It's quite a high-speed track with a lot of blind apexes. So I was really just trying to focus into a rhythm where I was minimizing the time lost through traffic. And I wasn't pushing brake zones or anything too hard. So I was trying to minimize those mistakes and make sure that I just had a pretty good pace and could try and bring it home for the win.
You also had a scare early on when you tried to make a pass around the outside of Doohan, turn one. Were you running a low downforce setup? We saw a few of the HPDs have trouble with that maneuver around the outside of that corner. What happened there?
Yeah, so what happened, we were running a low downforce setup, but basically I had a really good run on Psy, and I was working to – I wanted to go for a move. I knew it was early in the race. I didn't want to try anything stupid. But I left him a bunch of room, and I think I actually left too much room because I was just on the outside of the track, and the camber of the track falls away there. And on turn-in is when I hit that camber, and it just made the car kind of juke awkwardly, and I wasn't able to catch it. But I'm happy I was able to make up. It was a good run after.
Yeah, I would say so. A run that ends in P1 can definitely be considered a good run. Now, up next, I understand, did I hear right, Snetterton is next up? Is that right?
Yep, that's what's coming next, and it'll be fun because I've never driven this car there, and I've only done maybe 10, 15 laps at that track. In anything. So it'll be a fun learning process. It'll be cool to see what we're able to bring next.
All right. Well, best of luck over in jolly old England, and hope to see you in 2 weeks' time, Alex.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Our winner today, Alex Ellis, in the overall win in the prototypes. Up next, I believe that we have Sean with Haley. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, our winner, Bradley Haley, the Comet. What a race, man. I made the comment that you ripped off the mirror basically in the southern loop of the first lap there, and really never looked back. What kind of ride was that for you today?
Yeah, it was good. The first few laps you get in a rhythm, and then of course when the traffic comes through, it was it was chaotic, man. Coming around a corner and there's a pile of GTO cars. It was interesting.
Yeah, you just barely got through it. I mean, talk to us about that moment right there, because that was probably one of the more exciting moments of the race for you. I know it was for us. What did you see?
I think I saw Dino's tail end up in the air. It was perfect timing because they weren't really finished crashing yet, so they weren't ready to start moving. So I could really take advantage of that. But as soon as I came down the hill, it was pretty immediate. I saw it, and then it was like, I've got to make a decision, and thankfully no one rolled out into the dirt.
So there was a decision made. It wasn't a cold trickle moment there for you?
Well, it was perfect because I didn't really have much options. I really only had to go left, and thankfully no one was rolling backwards, so I got lucky.
Well, I'll tell you what, these races sometimes do take a little bit of luck. Joe just brought it up a moment ago. We head to Snetterton next, which is a new track to everybody, relatively new anyway. How do you think the Merc is going to perform at Snetterton?
It'll probably do really well. I've just never, I believe I have it, and I'm pretty sure I've done some laps on it, but I haven't done any sprint races or anything. So I'll definitely have to get the virtual racing school app up and start studying.
Okay. Well, having done quite a few laps there now myself in a few different cars, I can tell you it's a lot of fun. Not sure if you guys are on the 200 or the 300. I don't know the details on that yet, but it should be a great one. Hey, congratulations, man. Great to see you back in victory lane after suffering a tough loss to Savretic there in the last round. You've got to be pretty happy to walk away a winner with this one.
Yep, it's all in the preparation. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, and I look forward to watching this broadcast.
All right, and that is Bradley Haley, the Comet, as we know him, and boy, what a great race by him. So now we're going to head with Cy. Andre has caught up with Soup.
Cy, we talked about it before the race. You just wanted a quiet one where you didn't have to fight your way all the way back. You never fell farther back than third, but it was far from quiet, huh?
I just want one race where I can just cruise to a podium and just kind of just take it easy and not have a heart attack every lap.
Man, some of that fighting early on between it was 4 or 5 cars going left and right and all over the place. Fun to watch. I don't know how it was in the cockpit.
Yeah, I got a heart rate monitor on me right now, and I think I was doing 150 for the first 5 laps of the race. I mean, I had pull. I think I pulled away a little bit, and then sort of the draft kind of bunched everybody together. And Phillip Island is it runs that way, and the lap is so short that you're on top of traffic almost immediately in the first stint.
Okay, so, we saw everybody make the pit stop at the exact same time. Is that as far as the car will go? Just past that halfway mark, do you think?
Oh, definitely, because Phillip Island, you're on the throttle for almost 85% of the lap. Like maybe turn 2 and Lukey Heights is probably the area where you're off the throttle the most. Everywhere else, you're on it. So you're burning a lot of fuel, and the tank's restricted to only 60%. So we got to stop exactly almost at halfway to make it at one stop.
Got it. Okay, well, you didn't get the win, but you did come home second. That's good. And I guess this is other good news. The guy you're chasing, John Ulmer, has struggled too down there, about 7th position. So going to close in a little bit.
Oh, definitely. I think the way this plays out towards the last few rounds is going to be very interesting because John and I have been kind of leapfrogging each other in the standings. So I'm looking forward to it.
there's a lot of guys. Ellis and Young is fast too, man. You never know. Of course, Tinsey, it go any way around. Good luck to you the rest of the way. It's exciting.
Thank you very much.
Cy Andre, your runner-up in the prototypes today. Joseph.
We've got Kevin Santana talking to us, who finished on the podium in the GTDs today. Kevin, are you pretty satisfied with that? It seemed like it was a pretty wide gap up to both Haley and Cervetic, unfortunately.
And now that I've started watching the beginning of it, I see what happened. Thanks, Joe.
Wait. Did I give the commentator's curse to you, or I can't remember at this point?
Right after you said the clean start, promptly go off the track.
There. Okay. So, yeah. And speaking of which, we saw quite a few cars actually having offs today. This track is known for being very technical with the off camber and the late apexes and whatnot. Do you consider it one of your strong ones, or do you struggle here?
I'm surprised I finished as well as I did. I was not expecting that. I just kind of said, all right, I'll just play the fuel game and see what happens.
Well, the fuel game certainly worked out for you. You actually beat out Giuliano Romagnolo, which with his pace, I have to imagine that is satisfying. We've asked the other drivers about it, so I'll ask you, with the new track of Snetterton coming up, are you pretty familiar with it? Do you feel like that's going to be an easy one, or is that going to be a struggle?
It all depends on what happens on that backside where that nice, sharp 90-degree right-hander is.
Oof, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's very tough in the last half of the course with some tricky braking zones for sure. Well, congratulations on a podium today. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
There's Kevin Santana, third place finisher in the GTDs. With that, though, we are going to close up today. Of course, we want to thank the Autobahn Motorcar Group for being the official sponsor of this series, and I believe they have for all 6 seasons, actually. Also, thanks to John Ulmer and his team of helpers that organize this series and make sure that everything is running smoothly every other week. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that are listed on your screen, with a special thank you to Aptioneer.in for their help with our new software there for our timing and scoring. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde to provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Sean, Amjed, Dougie, as well as Steve Brown, and we had a little bit of help with the spotter and Calvin Filarski behind the scenes too. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. It includes upcoming races. You can also check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Next race, the Snetterton, I'm pretty sure the 300 layout is what we're looking at. I don't think we want to see them try and run 200 with 3 classes. That'll be Monday, February 19th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.